Today we are talking about the reason that Nintendo Switch 2 is back in the news and some brand new claims that suggest that Nintendo is contacting developers to ask them for trailers, presumably for some kind of reveal trailer that they would be piecing together. And while the time frame on when they might drop said trailer or show any kind of announcement or even just confirm it with something like a social media post that yes, there's a new console that they're working on and here's the code name for it, or just announce it to investors, all of that is still very much up for debate and speculation, although there have been some claims that it could be realistically any time between now and May when Nintendo will be holding their investors briefing. And then we have some outstanding rumors that we're going to circle back to with the claims of a June time reveal, but we'll unpack all of that. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And we have to first discuss Nate the Hate's recent podcast, which I will have linked in the description down below should you want to go through and listen. It's a very detailed deep dive between Nate and MVG around the supposed internal delay of the console, Nate's previous claims that he had heard that March was very much on the table and was the planned reveal timeframe, and then that internally shifted when Nintendo decided to internally shift the target launch date for their new hardware to early 2025, and they recap all of that. Nate the Hate was the big name online claiming that March was the planned time frame, but right about, and he points this out in the podcast, right about a week or so after he made those claims and had the podcast air with John Linneman where they're discussing that that's for sure info that he's heard from people that March is the planned reveal time, that then he starts hearing from multiple sources, not just one or two people, we're talking like half a dozen or more, that they're hearing Nintendo's now telling them early 2025. They're not giving them indication on what month or committing to any exact launch time frame, but they are saying that their planned launch, get things ready for early 2025. That's what they started being told. And we know how those reports played out because literally every major media publication hopped on this train. Clearly there was some internal communication because you had the likes of Bloomberg, Nikkei, and Reuters even chiming in on this. Major publications besides your VGCs and Eurogamers of the world, like literally anybody who has a contact with game devs, were essentially corroborating the same thing. Now it's early 2025, and that's the long and short of it. They even mention all the reports from the gaming analysts within the industry and even production reports from companies all being on the same page, with once thinking it was late 2024 and now are on the same page with early 2025. Well, the big piece that came from this podcast, at least for me and many others noticed online, that's kind of the new information around Switch 2, if you will, is the claim that Nintendo has actually reached out to their developing partners to ask for gameplay snippets and trailers, presumably for some kind of reveal presentation for this console. You know how we just all woke up randomly one morning and the Nintendo Switch OLED trailer went live and here it is, and this is a brand new piece of hardware that we haven't seen from Nintendo and they announced it in a clear-cut trailer. It might be something like that. It might be something like the first look trailer that we saw them drop in October 2016 ahead of the Nintendo Switch's reveal. And then what's interesting about a trailer and the claims that we are maybe around the corner from one is that sometimes you not only learn about the new hardware in said trailer, you also learn about a game or two that has not been announced. We saw Mario Odyssey well before its official announcement and confirmation and details given as far as what the game is and the new 3D Mario. We just saw a snippet of new 3D Mario gameplay in that first look trailer, and there is a lot of reason to believe that Nintendo's going to repeat that this time around, because the big rumored launch window title that should, in theory, launch day and date with Nintendo's next-gen hardware is a new 3D Mario game. And clearly Nintendo's had plenty of time to develop that. They've literally had since the launch year of 2017 when Mario Odyssey launched towards the end of the year. So they've had ample time to craft something new, and I think 3D Mario makes a lot of sense to slap on there alongside of the system at launch, but they're likely going to highlight a lot of different projects coming over from various different third parties as well. Tom Henderson, Andy Robinson, and people like that within the know have also been saying just how they're expecting a lot of different third-party games to be announced for Nintendo Switch 2, and that we would essentially see one trailer after the other of new third-party games coming out, and we're going to see that Nintendo Switch 2 logo on almost all of them, or at least that's kind of what was insinuated. We're looking at a lot of third-party support here, and Nintendo's likely going to want to have one or two technical marvels to look at, like how did they get that thing to run on a hybrid console, and how is a massive open world game, let's say like Elden Ring, how is that running so effectively with a smooth frame rate and a good resolution on a portable hybrid console? Clearly you can do that right now with things like the Steam Deck, and I think the census is out on whether or not it runs smooth. I think you do have to kind of make some performance concessions, but regardless, I think Nintendo will pick a marvel marquee game or two to really show off that's been prominent in the third-party space, and you're getting it on Nintendo Switch 2 around the launch window. And that's kind of the biggest piece of exciting information around this, is the fact that Nintendo is currently asking their partners for snippets of gameplay, for sections of trailers, so they can package together their own big reveal trailer. Now then the question becomes, is does Nate have any kind of updated information around when to expect this reveal event to take place? Supposedly the one that he was hearing about in March, when is that shifted to? Well, it sounds like there's no real answer on that as of right now, and he is just thinking logically and on the speculation portion of his talk track that between now and May is when it's most likely to happen, at least with some kind of acknowledgement from Nintendo, just for the simple fact that they will be forecasting next year's fiscal numbers at their upcoming May presentation or investors briefing in May, and they're not going to be able to straight up lie to their investors. It's been 7 full years since the Nintendo Switch has launched. We're now in the 8th year of sales. People are going to have questions about what Nintendo is doing, and the topic also came up if Nintendo is kind of making the Switch overstay its welcome. And I will have to say, as somebody who thoroughly loves my Switch and I still play it more than just about any other console I own, I also am at that point where I have owned this thing since 2017 on launch day, picking up the system and Breath of the Wild together, and I am very much ready for new hardware. And we're also at a point with third-party games on PS5 and Series X and S where they just need more power to be able to run effectively on Nintendo's hardware. And I'm excited for the mix of Nintendo having more capable hardware to work with for their own first-party games, and the mix of third parties having more capable hardware to be able to port their games and bring them over and make them run effectively for us in a hybrid setting. But the idea is discussed that maybe Nintendo would just do some kind of social media post where they announce that the Nintendo Switch has been an amazing system for them and they're now ready to share with us the code name for the next system, or just simply acknowledge that they are working on the next system and that they will have more information for us fans soon. I do think that that is a real possibility, or it could come up in the form of a statement to their investors at the May presentation where, yes, these forecasted numbers that we are going to communicate to you today have unannounced hardware included in them, and while we're not ready to answer any direct questions around that hardware at this time, rest assured we are gearing things up for the next generation of Nintendo hardware. Could be something like that as well. And then when you get to that June timeframe, we have that outstanding rumor that we actually have breadcrumbs of new events to look forward to back up just how credible the rumor is, because it's from PH Brazil, who has gotten largely things right over the course of time from what I can see online. But his claim is that there should be an indie presentation this month in March, so an Indie World Direct, and then we should have a mainline Direct, or at least Nintendo Direct Mini, something from a first party perspective, not another partner showcase, in April. And if those two things happen, the third piece of information that he dropped in his leak or rumor or whatever you want to call it is the claim that a reveal event would be held in June for Nintendo Switch 2 or their next gen hardware. So that's a very exciting prospect. I also do think we could realistically wake up one morning at any time and see Nintendo at least acknowledge or confirm this thing, or just surprise drop a first look trailer anytime between now and June. But if you want to play it super safe with your expectations, there is also the possibility that Nintendo copy and paste the Switch launch strategy, where maybe they only give us a code name or something at the investors briefing and we don't actually see the console or see any games on the console in a trailer format until something like October, and maybe that's when they drop the big first look at Switch 2 trailer, and we are again informed that March will be the launch month for their next gen flagship hardware. But that's where I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. What do you make of all of this? Do you think this is exciting that Nintendo's supposedly in the phase of reaching out to developers and partners for trailers and snippets of gameplay for some type of reveal trailer for next gen Nintendo hardware? What do you hope it's called, and when do you think we'll finally see Nintendo pull back the curtain on this device and market it to us officially? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch the video on screen next if you haven't already. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.